Merab Dvalishvili versus Cory Sandhagen. Takedown Goblin versus Mr. Beakers and Test Tubes. Who wins? That's what we're gonna get to the bottom of in this video, and you already know how it go. Let's go over the strengths and weaknesses for each fighter, starting off with Merab. So Merab's biggest strength is of course his knees to the thigh, his knees of doom as I like to call them. Nah, I'm joking. Kind of. But Merab is a very interesting kind of fighter because when it comes to being the most skilled fighter in the division, he's far from it. However, he's just completely built different, man. The guy has stupid levels of cardio, easily the best cardio in the UFC, and he weaponizes that by relentlessly shooting takedowns. And Merab is a very good wrestler, but he honestly doesn't even need to get the takedowns, although that's of course a bonus. He really only needs to force you into grappling exchanges, where he can make you expend energy so he can cardio mog you. That said, Merab's getting even better on the ground, which is pretty scary if you ask me, because when you look at his past fights, he's never really shown to be particularly dangerous on the ground, but in his recent fights, he's been threatening submissions and even subbed O'Malley in his last fight. And on the feet, I wouldn't really say he's any good. I would honestly say his takedown goblin striking is pretty disgusting to look at. However, I do recognize he can make it effective with his pressure and threat of the takedown, and he does have a decent chin on him as well. That said, because he's crashing into you on the feet, counters could be extremely devastating, and he's also quite hittable as well. Now Cory Sandhagen on the other hand is a fighter who's really into the beakers and test tubes of the game, and what I mean by that is he's extremely technical both on the feet and on the ground. He's very good at switching stances and feigning out of range. Now, but all jokes aside, he's very good at fighting out of both stances. He's pretty fast as well. He's very good at landing leg kicks too, but besides that, it's pretty hard to find anything that truly stands out about him. He's just overall a very good and balanced tit-for-tat striker, aside from an occasional flying knee. But as I said before, he's also a very good grappler. I mean, he kinda out-grappled Figgy on the ground, and he was holding his own against Umar too. That said, besides being very well-rounded and extremely technical, he almost gets too deep into the beakers and test tubes sometimes, and what I mean by that is that he gets tunnel vision. If you look back at the Umar fight, for example, Sandhagen just ended up stance switching and fading out of range instead of going for it when he was down on the scorecards. And earlier into his career, he was a wild man. He would go for it with flying knees and all that, but now he's just too much of a bookworm. Like, you know, Sandhagen is the kind of dude that's reading The Art of War and Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, so he can take control of the outside foot battle in his fights. He's just looking too much into the nitty-gritty details, man. Now that said, let's go over the win conditions for each fighter, starting off with Merab. And Merab's just gonna want to Merab him, the usual, you know. He's just gonna want to relentlessly shoot takedowns and force Sandhagen into grappling exchanges to make him expend energy, so he can aura farm on him later in the fight. Now that said, he's also gonna have to be a bit careful of the flying knee as he shoots in, because that would be absolutely devastating if Sandhagen times it correctly, and it will honestly be beautiful to see Merab go out like that. Now as for Sandhagen, he's gonna want to keep it standing, and this whole fight he's gonna be looking to land something big, whether that be a flying knee or a head kick. It doesn't really matter, but he can't just be trying to win the outside foot battle and stuff like that. He has to recognize the longer this fight goes on, the more gassed he's gonna be. So if I'm Cory, I'm looking to keep Merab at long range with teeps and straight shots, and I'm constantly trying to set up something big. And I'm also accepting that I am gonna get taken down, so I'm solely focused on dealing the most amount of damage possible to Merab, and so that I'm not shying away from landing counters because he might attempt a takedown. And I also think Sandhagen is good enough on the ground to not get finished, so when he gets taken down, it's not the end of the world. Now that said, it's looking pretty bleak for Mr. Beakers and Test Tubes. In my opinion, he just doesn't match up too well stylistically, because in order to be able to beat Merab, you need insane levels of finishing ability, because it doesn't really matter how much more skilled you are. If you look at the Umar fight, for example, Umar was definitely the hardest matchup in terms of skill set for Merab. Umar is someone who is better on the feet, he's a very good wrestler, and he's a better overall grappler than Merab. But he got cardio mogged and clowned on, and that's the kind of fighter Merab is. All he needs to do is make you dance to his tune and he'll win. He's extremely good at imposing his will, so the only way to have a decent chance of beating him is by packing serious power, like O'Malley for example. And O'Malley wasn't able to find that perfect shot, and you could say that was because he was too occupied with trying to defend takedowns, and that's something Cory won't have to worry about as much because he's a much more capable grappler, and that is true. However, He just doesn't have the same danger levels on the feet as O'Malley. And that's why I'm saying it's gonna be tough. The stance switching and fading just isn't gonna work, little bro. Thinking you're gonna beat Merab by out tit for tatting him on the feet and winning the outside foot battle is just wishful thinking. Those things doesn't even exist in Merab's mind. Like, Merab doesn't even know what the outside foot battle is. So what I'm saying is, really his only way to victory in this fight is by something crazy. I'm talking a flying knee as Merab shoots in, I'm talking a spinning elbow, I'm talking a head kick, just something crazy. And I can't bet on that. I just can't bet on that. Sandhagen isn't the same wild man he once was. He's called Mr. Beakers and test tubes for a reason now. He's too technical for his own good. He's kind of like Leon Edwards in a way. He just wants to do everything perfectly. And when it comes to the grappling in this fight, I think he's going to want to be perfect. I think he's going to be super focused on defending every single takedown rather than dealing damage, and that's going to make him more hesitant on the feet. So I will be going with Merab in this fight, and I think Sandhagen is actually going to do pretty well in the early rounds. I see him doing good defending takedowns, getting back up to the feet, and landing a couple shots here and there. But I also see him slow down a lot as the fight goes on, and Merab is just gonna cardio mog him and clown on him. However, I don't think Merab is going to finish him because Cory Sandhagen actually has very good defense on the ground, but that won't save him from Merab's brutal knees to the thigh. The knees of doom! So I will be going with Merab by decision. And it's kind of crazy, man. I don't think anyone at bantamweight beats Merab. I've picked against the takedown goblin so many times and he just proves me wrong every single time. It's getting annoying, man. I wouldn't even pick my GOAT Petr Yan in a rematch. So I'm done ever picking against Merab. Merab's gonna get this done, man. But enough with the yapping. I think that's it for today, guys. Check out my last video where I broke down and predicted Big Ank versus Alex P. But anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Am I just a Merab glacier or do you agree with my pick? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And also don't forget to share this to every single Cory Sandhagen fan you know. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!